All right, so today we're diving deep into content management systems, or CMS. But not just any CMS. We're focusing on the ones that are specifically designed for, technical writers and IT professionals.
And that's a really important distinction because, choosing the right CMS can be a total game changer for efficiency and quality in technical documentation.
Absolutely. But with so many options out there, it can be, a bit overwhelming to figure out where to even begin.
Yeah, definitely.
So to help us navigate this landscape, we're going to be looking at an article by Curt Robbins, who's, a senior technical writer who's worked with some pretty impressive companies, FedEx, Microsoft, Northrop Grumman. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah, he really knows his stuff.
He does. And in this article, he compares four leading CMS platforms. We've got MadCap Flare, Paligo, Confluence, and Adobe Experience Manager, or AEM. So are you ready to kind of unpack these platforms and see which one might be the best fit for you?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with just a quick overview of each platform. First up, we have MadCap Flare. Think of this as like the powerhouse. It's built specifically for technical writers. And it's all about single sourcing and structured authoring.
And what's really fascinating about that is that it means you can create content once and then publish it across multiple formats, without having to do all those manual adjustments.
Exactly. So no more copy and paste nightmares or version control headaches.
Right.
All right, next we have Paligo, the cloud-based collaborator. And this one's all about teamwork, right? Enabling teams to work on content simultaneously from, anywhere in the world.
So it's a real game changer for remote teams or anyone collaborating across time zones for sure.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to Confluence. This platform's kind of like the friendly, approachable one, often used for knowledge management and internal documentation. And it's known for its, seamless integration with Jira.
Which makes it a real favorite among agile development teams for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And finally, we have Adobe Experience Manager, or AEM. This is like the big gun, the enterprise-grade CMS often used by, larger organizations to manage massive amounts of content.
And it's interesting, AEM goes beyond just technical writing. It integrates with marketing tools and offers all those personalization features so companies can create this unified, tailored content experience across all their channels.
Okay, that's really cool. So we've got a sense of each platform now, but let's dive deeper into some of their key features. Curt Robbins highlights some really interesting ones for each in his article. So starting with MadCap Flare, single sourcing is a big one. What makes this feature so valuable for technical writers?
I mean, think about it. You create a single source of truth for your content, and Flare magically transforms it into all the formats you need.
So, like if I need to update a product name or a legal disclaimer, I only have to change it one place, and it, ripples through all my documents.
Yep.
That's amazing. What about Paligo? Robbins mentions cloud collaboration as, this game changer. What does that look like for users in their, day-to-day work?
So imagine your team is spread across multiple time zones, working on a complex software manual. You can all access and edit the same files at the same time, see each other's changes in real time. You can even have threaded discussions right within the platform.
Wow. Okay, but as with anything, these platforms have their, drawbacks too. So let's talk about some of those limitations. Starting with MadCap Flare, Robbins mentions the steep learning curve and cost as potential hurdles.
Yeah, Flare's a powerful tool, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's got a lot of advanced features, which can be overwhelming for new users. And those features, well, they come at a price. The licensing fees can be pretty substantial, especially for smaller teams.
So maybe not the best choice for, a startup on a tight budget.
Right.
What about Paligo? Any downsides there?
Well, one thing to think about is that it relies on the cloud, right? So that means you need a really stable internet connection to access your content. Limited offline access could be a problem for some.
That's a really good point. Sometimes you just need to work offline. What about Confluence? Anything we should be aware of?
Confluence is great for quick collaborative documentation, but it might not be the ideal choice for really complex technical manuals. Its customization options are a bit limited compared to some other platforms. And to get many of the advanced features, you need third-party plugins, which can add to the cost and complexity.
So it's about finding the right tool for the job. And finally, AEM. What are some of the potential drawbacks there?
Well, AEM is incredibly powerful, but that power comes with complexity, right? And a pretty hefty price tag. The setup and maintenance can be challenging, and the licensing costs are typically in the enterprise range, so that puts it out of reach for a lot of smaller organizations.
Okay, so it's clear that each platform has its own trade-offs. But this leads us perfectly into the next part of our deep dive, ideal use cases. Robbins outlined some specific scenarios where each platform really shines. So let's start with MadCap Flare. Who would benefit most from this CMS?
If you're creating highly technical documentation, like user manuals, help systems, product guides, and you need to publish in multiple formats, MadCap Flare is a really strong contender. It's also great for global organizations dealing with multilingual content because it's got those really robust localization features.
So for teams tackling large-scale, complex documentation projects, MadCap Flare could be a lifesaver. What about Paligo? What are its sweet spots?
Paligo is perfect for teams managing these large modular documentation sets, especially if they're working remotely. The cloud-based nature of it means you get seamless collaboration, version control, even across different locations. And it also excels in integrated workflows, connecting seamlessly with customer support tools like Zendesk and Salesforce.
That's a fantastic example. Really highlights how Paligo can streamline those workflows and improve, the overall customer experience. Now on to Confluence. Where does this platform shine?
Confluence is the go-to for like internal knowledge bases, team collaboration, and pretty simple documentation projects. If you're an agile team using Jira, Confluence integrates seamlessly, making it easy to manage all that project-related documentation.
That makes a lot of sense. Sometimes simplicity is key, especially when you need to move fast. And lastly, AEM. When does this enterprise-level CMS really make sense?
AEM is the ultimate solution for large enterprises, with big budgets and complex content needs. If you're looking to manage both technical documentation and marketing content under one roof, AEM can handle it. It's also a great choice for those organizations that need to create really multimedia-rich documentation because it integrates with Adobe's Creative Suite.
That's a great point. Consistency is so important for building a strong brand identity. Speaking of budget, let's talk about cost. Robbins provides a really helpful cost comparison in his article, which is always a key consideration when you're choosing a CMS.
Oh, absolutely. You really have to weigh the features and benefits against the costs. MadCap Flare has a license-based pricing model, which can be, a pretty significant upfront investment. Paligo operates on a subscription basis, which can be more manageable for some teams, but those recurring costs can definitely add up. Confluence also has a subscription model, starting at a lower price point, which makes it attractive for, like, smaller teams. And then there's AEM, which, as we mentioned, comes with a premium price tag, often reaching tens of thousands annually.
So there's a CMS for every budget, but you really need to do your research and choose the one that provides the most value for your specific needs.
Exactly. No one-size-fits-all solution here. The best CMS is the one that aligns with your goals, your resources, and your work style.
Well said. Now, I'm kind of curious, what are some things that have surprised you as you've explored these platforms?
One thing that's impressed me is that increasing focus on user experience across all these platforms. It's not just about like dumping information into a document anymore. It's about creating an engaging and intuitive experience for the user. Some platforms now have, interactive tutorials, embedded videos, personalized search functionality. They're really stepping up their game.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see how the role of technical documentation is evolving. It's not just a supporting element anymore. It's becoming an integral part of the overall user experience.
Yeah.
And as these platforms continue to innovate, I can only imagine the possibilities.
Exactly. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
One thing that really stood out to me in Robin's article was Paligo's integration with, customer support tools like Zendesk and Salesforce. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? How can those integrations actually benefit users?
Sure. So imagine like a customer submits a support ticket about a specific feature.
Right.
With these Paligo integrations, that ticket can trigger an automatic update to the relevant documentation. So the next time a user searches for help on that feature, boom, they're seeing the most up-to-date information, reflecting the latest insights from those customer interactions.
That's such a brilliant example of how these platforms can bridge the gap between customer support and documentation, creating this more, seamless and informed experience for users. It's like having a feedback loop that's constantly improving the quality and relevance of your content.
Exactly. It's all about using technology to create a more connected and responsive ecosystem, right?
Okay.
For both your internal teams and your external users.
Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Confluence, which is often praised for its, simplicity and ease of use. Robbins mentioned that it's a popular choice for agile teams, particularly those that are using Jira. Can you kind of delve into that integration a little bit more? How does that streamline workflows and improve collaboration?
So Confluence's Jira integration is all about keeping documentation tightly coupled with the development process. So let's say you're working on a new feature in Jira, right? With this integration, you can create and link the corresponding documentation like right within that Jira interface. So as that feature evolves, the documentation evolves right alongside it, making sure everything stays in sync.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. It keeps documentation front and center rather than it being an afterthought, and it prevents those frustrating situations where the documentation becomes, outdated or inaccurate because it's not aligned with the latest development stuff.
Exactly. It's about breaking down those silos and fostering a more integrated approach to, development and documentation.
Now let's talk about AEM, that enterprise grade platform that often intimidates people because it's got so many capabilities. Robbins highlighted AEM's integration with marketing tools, which is something we haven't really explored in depth yet. Can you shed some light on that? How does AEM bridge the gap between technical documentation and marketing content?
Well, AEM is pretty unique because it lets you manage both the technical documentation and the marketing content all in one platform. So this means you can make sure there's consistency in, you know, branding, messaging, style across all those customer touch points. Like, for example, you can reuse certain content elements, such as product descriptions or company information, in both your technical documentation and your marketing materials. And this makes sure there's that unified and cohesive experience for the audience.
That's a really powerful capability, especially for larger organizations with those, more complex content ecosystems. It's all about creating that seamless and consistent brand experience, regardless of whether someone is reading a user manual or browsing a marketing brochure.
Exactly. AEM lets you manage your content holistically, making sure that every piece of content, whether it's technical or marketing focused, is contributing to that, unified brand narrative.
Now, I'm curious, what are some of the emerging trends you're seeing in the CMS landscape? What's on the horizon for technical documentation?
Well, one of the most exciting trends is the increasing role of, AI and machine learning in content creation and management. I mean, imagine AI-powered tools that can automatically generate summaries or translate content or even personalize that user experience in real time. These technologies have the potential to totally revolutionize how we create, manage, and deliver technical documentation.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into these four leading CMS platforms, I want to turn the focus back to our listeners. What key takeaways would you like them to kind of walk away with? What are the most important things to think about when choosing a CMS?
I would say don't be afraid to challenge your assumptions, Sometimes we get stuck in our ways of doing things, but these platforms are always evolving, offering all these new possibilities and approaches. Take some time to, explore the features, experiment with different workflows, and see what works best for your team and your style and your goals. You might be surprised at what you discover.
That's great advice. It's easy to get overwhelmed by all the options, but sometimes the best approach is to just dive in and start experimenting.
Right. And remember, there's so many resources out there to help you. Most of these platforms have, free trials, tutorials, community forums where you can connect with other users and learn from their experiences.
And don't forget about the power of networking and connecting with other professionals in the field. Attend conferences, join online groups, reach out to experts like Curt Robbins. Sharing knowledge and insights is so valuable when you're, navigating this ever-changing landscape.
Absolutely. The technical rating community is so supportive and generous with their knowledge. Don't hesitate to reach out, ask questions, share your challenges, learn from each other.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to bring our deep dive to a close. We've covered a lot today, exploring the intricacies of these four leading CMS platforms. We delved into their strengths and weaknesses, their ideal use cases, and we even got a glimpse into the future of, technical documentation with the rise of AI and ML. A huge thank you to senior technical writer Curt Robbins for his insightful article that sparked this whole deep dive. Until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the world of technical documentation.